in Calabar will not only inspire our people, but will also generate robust discourse that will culminate in having a more informed class of indigenous entrepreneurs. Let me equally salute the foresight of the State Department of Investment Promotion for its collaboration with the Bank of Industry, which has made this training program possible. Again, I wish to welcome you all to Calabar and wish you a refreshing and highly rewarding time. With these remarks, it is now my pleasure and privilege to, on behalf of His Excellency, the Acting Governor of Cross River State, declare this bootcamp training program formally open. Thank you.
The representative of His Excellency, the Secretary to the State Government.
Please put your hands together for him, sir. Please. Thank you. Thank you. You're welcome, sir. Your Excellency, the
Managing Director of Bank of Industry, represented by Alhaji Masanawa, the General Manager of Corporate Communication, represented by Mr. Eric-atuanya, Chairman of Local Government here present, the Special Advisor for Investment Promotion, Mr. Gerald, members of the Cross River State Executive Council present, resource persons, distinguished participants, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen. For this August occasion, the first bootcamp training program by the Bank of Industry is stayed here in Calabar. First and foremost in my mind is for all of us to come to the Almighty God who has made it possible for us to wake up to this day and to find our way safely to this day. We all have to join hands to thank Him. Next is His Excellency, the Acting Governor of Cross River State, represented by the SST, Director Tuko, for in such a short notice finding his way to this forum to declare the function of. We must also thank the Cross River State Government for providing counterpart funding to state this all-important training program for the indigenous entrepreneurs of Cross River State. Our next thanks goes to the Managing Director of Bank of Industry for making this occasion possible. Let me ask the bank not to stop at this. The bank should bend their stiff rules to accommodate cross-border individuals in advancing the economy of the state. Now, the facilitators, I want to thank them, especially for coming all the way from the US to be present here to impart some knowledge for our entrepreneurs. Then my thanks also goes to the participants to run their businesses successfully so that you and the banks can partner in your growth. We hope that at the end of the day, you will be a better entrepreneur than you came in this morning. Now, last but not the least, I want to thank the members of the press for being present in this occasion.
You said, my name is Eric-atuanya. I am the managing partner of Brimson Associates, the facilitators for this event today. So we thank you very much for having everybody present today. And over the next couple of days, over the next 2 days, what we hope to do is to impart some knowledge to you guys here today, because you guys are the most important part of this event. This is a training program. It's called the Bootcamp Series because what we intend to do is to train people the way it's done in a boot camp. It's intensive training. And without further ado, I do want to properly introduce, or not properly, but more extensively introduce our facilitators today. We have Mr. Safia Rab. Mr. Safia Rab is the managing partner of, he's the CEO of Managing Opportunities Incorporation. And Managing Opportunities Incorporation is a firm out in Baltimore, Maryland. And what they focus on is they work with communities all over the world. It's important to know that they've worked with communities in the US, in the Middle East, in other parts of Africa, to actually figure out what, use their own resources and harness their resources to turn them into economic catalysts. So they're going to figure out what it is you have here in Cross River, which is represented amongst each and every one of you here, and figure out how we can use that to make money for Cross Rivers. Study how we develop a business plan, what are the core elements to writing a business plan, and how you implement your business plan, how you do a marketing survey, and also how you make sure you get the right finance. Because regardless of whatever feasibility study you've done, or whatever marketing survey you do, if you don't have the money to properly implement it, then you're really nowhere. We can stand up here and say all the nice English vocabulary we know, but if you don't have the money, you have really not advanced. And that's why we have the Bank of Industry present and putting this up today to help educate us. So Mr. Safia Rab is going to be leading the pack to do that. Next to Mr. Safia Rab, we have Mr. C.D. Glenn. Mr. C.D. Glenn is a consultant with the U.S. Agency for International Development. And Mr. C.D. Glenn also works with a group named CDC in Washington, D.C. And Mr. Glenn, can we have you rise for acknowledgement? And Mr. Glenn is going to be assisting Mr. Rab in sending the message we're trying to send today. And last but not the least, certainly, is Mr. Damani Ingram, who's an attorney he's a lawyer with Managing Opportunities. So in between these three gentlemen and also the representatives from the Bank of Industry, I believe we have the representatives from the Bank of Industry. I know we have Mr. Sonny Ekedian. Mr. Ekedian, can you rise for us? He's in charge of the small and medium-sized enterprises which are putting up this event today. And I know we have our zonal officer, Mr. Okechukwu. I'm not sure if he's in the room. That's the zonal representative from the Bank of Industry in the room today. So please, we are bringing the tools from the United States, from the Bank of Industry, and somewhere during this program, the Bank of Industry will also educate you on how the steps to access a loan from the Bank of Industry. And beyond the training we have today and tomorrow, Okechukwu is always present here in this zone, and he will be giving you all his information so we can follow up post the workshop we do get today and tomorrow. So without further ado, I would like to ask South of the Bank of Industry. I'm not sure if Mr. Babatunde is. Mr. Babatunde, please. We have the AGM South. So please, people, I beg you, it's important. I know we've done the ceremonies this morning, but really the most important part of what we have come here to do this morning is to make sure the knowledge we're trying to give is actually transmitted to you and that you are able to implement that. So after everything you hear the representatives from Managing Opportunities and USAID talk about, it's important you also listen to the Bank of Industry, and most importantly, take their numbers and email address, because in order to implement what you need to do over the next few months.
Good afternoon. Look, I'm from Maryland, as Mr. Eric-atuanya mentioned, and I'm a little bit nervous and a little bit excited. So I hope that you will indulge me as we proceed on this training. And I'm excited really because I feel like I've returned home. Many of you certain know the history of our people. And it is a history that I'm told 31% of which left from the shores of Calabar. And I was privileged enough yesterday to be able to visit the museum that you have here in Calabar and see the depiction of the story. Has anyone visited that museum? So you're familiar. So you can understand that I'm really not from Baltimore. I'm really from Calabar. And eric-atuanya, and to exchange and show some of the best practices that you've come to learn from exchanging with others around the world. Because I mentioned that I was going to Nigeria. And Nigeria has a very awkward reputation. But first, we should know that the days of entrepreneurs, meaning people who just pursue money for the sake of amassing wealth, are gone. To just get money for money's sake. The community, God, the society, your family, something bigger than you, because that helps to motivate and drive your interest to pursue business success. As we pursue this track, and there is no humility without compassion, and there is no compassion without concern for something bigger than yourself. What are we really talking about here? And our hope is that through these series of sessions, this boot camp training, we will have an upbeat exchange that will be useful at a smaller level. Some people may not be operating at all, but they aspire to know. And education is simply knowledge. Simply knowledge. Not necessarily formal. You have to have finance. As they say, you know, that going into business is a little bit like marriage. And without finance, there is no romance. So you have to have some finance in order to go into business. Then you have to have sales. You have to be able to identify a way to sell your product and then actually sell the product, whatever that product or service is. And last but certainly not least, you have to have good social skills. And the main part of your social skills that I've experienced is be positive, and be humble. Be positive and be humble. I think these are prerequisites to be a successful entrepreneur. There are the entrepreneurs that are the small business people. These, and when I say small, I mean very, very small. I don't mean small in the context of the entire planet. Small is a relative term. Small in this context means they have limited scale, and they use their entrepreneurship as a substitute for their real job, real endeavor. And that's okay. That's a small entrepreneur. You can go through some of these examples later on in the presentation. Go back. Sorry. Also, enterprise owners typically, when they build their business, and then they build their business with the intent of being able to sell the business. They don't make the business completely dependent on their own self. I know the way I kept my records. I know what code that is. I put that code because it's a sign for me. Do you know what I mean? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? At me. Can somebody say something? The business in a way that someone can look at it from the outside and take the business over. Lessons that I learned as an entrepreneur from starting off. And throughout different enterprise to another. And maybe if it makes sense, we could go through some more of the details of that later as well. First, I always say that a paycheck is an addiction. 99% of the people in the world work for 1% of the people, or something like that. Some very disproportionate statistic. And 1% of the people control all of the wealth, 99% of the wealth. It takes some mistakes in order to succeed. Next is start. Get into business. Start small. Start with something. And allow that initiative, whatever that is, to germinate and promote and push your business. They have a logo of one company that says, just do it. To get started, fail within the first 5 years of their existence. The thing is to try and fail cheap and fail early. Don't get so deep into debt, borrowing money, and fail. Fail cheaply and fail early on, because it's easy to recover that way. I always look at the failures of any experience that I pursue to learn that lesson, and then I don't do it again. It gives perspective and helps me to be positive. I don't care how smart you are, and I'm certain everyone in here is pretty smart. It's always someone else existing that can complement your knowledge. And you go into business, you own the things of the business together. And 20% of the work is done by the other partner, but they expect to split the profits half and half. And that's just not fair, and it creates contempt and a basis for failure. And when I say be naive, I say that really in quotation marks as well. When I started my first company, I called myself a CEO. That's the same as an MD here. And I had it was a very, very small operation, less than $100,000 US. CEO, I'm going to call another CEO. And that naivete, that position, this position of my mind allowed me to access certain opportunities, and I was able to succeed because of that. If you don't know it, then ask and pursue the knowledge, and you'll just lessons of entrepreneurship that I think are relevant and they really matter. Number 9, know that your image matters. Know that your brand matters. And if we have time, I know it's not on the schedule, but I have some presentation and some insights to share about brand. Sometimes people want to make their brand, the logo, so complex that it includes everything. It should be something pretty simple. Keep it simple, but know that your brand is the identity of your company. It is what you portray to the world. When they see that symbol, it actually, and there's studies that have been done on this, when the people, consumers, see your symbol, it should bring to mind your good, your product, your service. You don't have to build a website that really looks like crap if you don't do business that requires a website. It's better to have no website than to have a crappy website. So don't try and fit everything that I'm saying or everything that we exchange into your idea of a business concept. Sift out what's relevant for you and use that portion. There's an idea around principle number 7, lead by example, that says that businesses grow in the shadow of the leader. The employees will follow the example of the leader. So if you are the leader of your organization, You have to know that you set the pace. If you are lazy or you take a shortcut, know that your employees will be lazy and they will take a shortcut. And, you know, some of this stuff sounds very simple. It sounds very simple. But it's the simple stuff that we forget. And it's the simple stuff that prevents us from getting to success. One person said that the devil is in the details. So we're getting into the details, we're getting into the broad picture stuff that helps us to understand business success. 11, know that investors want their money back. When you come to the Bank of Industry or one of their partners, or you come to an investor from here in Cross River or Lagos or wherever, Abuja or Maryland or New York City or wherever, anywhere in the world, same principle is in place. The people who put up their money, they want it back. They want to know, how much money do I get for what amount up front, and how long is it going to take me to get it back from you? That's the main thing people want to know, investors want to know. And you have one chance to lose an investor's money. You lose an investor's money, they won't reinvest with you. And they'll tell the community of investors that you are not an investment-worthy investment. You don't represent fiscal and business solvency. And that's a problem. That could be a very big problem for the life of your business. Because as principle number 12 says, cash matters. Cash flow is critical. If you have no cash flow, you have no money to start your business for capital expense and for ongoing running of your business, it's like the lifeblood. Cash is the lifeblood of the business. Are again, at a very broad level, relevant to business success. One, you have to have a passion. You have to dream. And when you dream, you should have no inhibitions about your dream. No one can define your dream for you. You have inside of you a unique will, a unique soul that God put in you. And you should be able to pursue that. And what comes of it. But you should also think about your dream. Some people dream things that are really nightmares. Never work another day in your life. Because you'll be doing work in your job, and you'll also be doing your love interest toward the goal that you want to achieve. And last is timing. Business success is not arbitrary. It is a science. It is an exact science. And it is the function that happens when preparation meets opportunity. That's how I characterize business success. If you are prepared when the opportunity comes, which is really also a function of timing, then you are primed and ready to have business success. This is the general definition of an entrepreneur, but there's more. There's much more. And next, we want to talk a bit about what more is there. Again, at a broad level, but specific to your goods and your services. What are the basic precepts that have to be involved in order to move from zero to hero? In order to move from not having a viable corporation or viable company to one that is solvent and successful. Before that, I want to open the floor for any questions in exchange for these first 12 principles.
My name is James Abicha. I would love you to expand
shed more on the points you raised, challenge your comfort zone.
You know, what's meant by that is that most people that go into business or work for a job, they do something well. And they're comfortable in doing whatever it is they do well. That state of being is what is referred to as the comfort zone. Existing in the comfort zone is a problem because it keeps you limited in your knowledge, limited in your skill, limited in your experience, and also limited in your attitude toward doing other things. The more you do things that you're not comfortable with, the more you have an attitude that is easier to approach the things that you're not comfortable with. Whole picture of the business. And in order to do that, he has to get, or she has to get, as they say, out of the box, out of what they're comfortable with, and into things that are a little challenging for their experiences and knowledge. Is that clear?
This is the point. I'd like to get more explanation on the inspiration of having a gym spirit. You know, sometimes when we talk about a micro business, it's difficult to really have this gym spirit by way of employing more hands. Then, if you need the skill that you, the entrepreneur, doesn't have, what do you think we can do by way of outsourcing? We cannot get it immediately. The resources will not support that. What do you advise us to do, sir?
Are you saying, and let me repeat what I think I understand, and you can tell me if that's right or wrong. You said to me, in principle, that sometimes the team that needs to be built to achieve a goal sometimes costs money or resources that the micro business may not have. Is that right? Okay. Money is not the primary objective, nor is it the primary thing that it takes to do business initially. It's something that happens in business, and it is a byproduct of business, but it is not number one. Number one is the idea. If you can come up with a solvent idea, using creativity, using innovation, using your mind, and I know we have a rich historical tradition, as I'm told. I don't know, but that's what I'm told. I believe it's true. I believe it with my heart and with my soul. So I think that if we can return to that beautiful tradition, then we will be in a position to create with our minds. If you create using some of the principles that we're going to discuss throughout the training, then you will be able to articulate your business plan. And it's harder to come up with the plan and the idea than it is to come up with the money for the idea. They said, okay, here's all the money you need to do whatever you need to do. Here, take some more. Go build a team. And they come back to me when you're finished. No. And I left my things. I went off to school. I left all my things. I'll tell you a little story. I left all of my things that I had in my, I wasn't so much. I was only 21 years old. Left everything that I had with a friend of mine. And I had amassed $600, $600 US. It's a lot of money for me. Okay? I was going to get Naira, 6,000 Naira per month to put my things in storage. So I gave all of his things out of storage and his money and a return on his money. And he picked a bad business. And he lost all the money. And then he could not pay. You don't pay up front, and you pay every month. If you don't pay every month, then they take your things and they sell it for the payment. So they took all of my things and they sold it. And no one said, okay, here's some money. I went into my mind and started thinking, what's needed? What is a basic need that someone has here? And I found that unlike Africa and in Calabar, where you can stop on the side of the road and get a fruit that's roasted or corn that's roasted and eating things that have all kinds of processes. It's not what God made. It's something that somebody else made. The natural stuff.
I see it more comfortable to educate him, expose him, make him understand what I have, so that we can come into partnership and make something happen out of nothing, than to go up and talking from the African perspective and make an accountant who will charge me millions before he render his services. Thank you.
I believe that through good communication, you will be surprised, because I know what I've experienced and I've lived all over the world. I know I'm not so American as you think, sir. I'm a person who, I believe, if you tell someone sincerely, with full humility, listen, this is where I am. This is the solvency of my plan, and I'm not asking you to become my CFO. I'm just asking for a little bit of guidance. I think, one, you'd be surprised what response you can get. And if that person says no, then be persistent and go to the next person, and then the next person, and then the next person. But it's not a quick fix, and it's not a magic pill that you take. So I'm not going to pretend like I have all the answers. And there may be some differences, and maybe you will run into an arrogant accountant or two. Humanity, and understand humility, and understand God and their obligation to serve. So I would just try it if I were you. I think you'd be surprised. I think so.
I want to refer to one important point you made to help us perhaps shock again from the shock that 99% of the people work for 1%. The simple question I want to ask is,